Is your golf swing in such a mess right now? You're thinking about rebuilding it totally from the ground up. Well, before you go down that time-consuming and probably expensive path, I'm going to be joined in this video today by Golf Monthly Top 50 coach Alex Elliott, who's going to give us 6 top tips to get you back on track without changing your entire swing. I'm here at Kettleston Park Golf Club today. Let's get started. Right, okay, we're on the range now, Alex. I want to talk about, before people go and change their whole swing and their whole identity of their golf, is to maybe 2 for 1 here, change your practice routine up a little bit, and change that practice routine to focus more on strike than swing, because strike could be the problem, right?
Yeah, I mean, especially with driver, right? A lot of people forget this. There's something called gear effect.
Okay.
So you could make a good swing, but the strike could be a little bit out, and if you hit it out the heel, heel twist in, ball would curve with left to right curvature for a right-handed golfer, and out the toe, right to left curvature. And a lot of people forget that, because when we're looking down at the shot, we think, oh, that's curved because I've done something random, whereas actually, we've just maybe got it a finger off the center, which is going to cause that curvature.
Yeah, so maybe people watching at home aren't actually swinging it that bad and don't need the full, it's just they're a few inches out. So maybe let's think of something about strike. What sort of tips have you got for strike drills?
Yeah, so this drill would be the same for irons and driver,
Great.
But the gear effect would only count for driver.
Okay.
But I think this is really going to complement you with your irons too. So if you look down there closely, Dan, I've just set up like a really tight little...
This is scaring me.
Yeah, it's quite narrow, isn't it? And you can start off a little bit wide if you want to start like that and make it a little bit narrower, but essentially, miss both T-pegs, you're going to find the centre.
Okay.
Don't worry if you hit the outer one to start with or the inner one. I'd actually say that's probably a good thing. You then got to focus of how you're going to change that.
Right.
And as a club golfer, you're not going to be perfect straight away. But knowing what the feedback you've got, if you always toe or always heel, you know how you're going to fix that.
Brilliant. So, because I think a lot of people maybe don't actually know. They're like, why is it going that way?
100%.
Where am I actually hitting it from? This is going to give you that visual audio cue as well.
100%. Well, what you're going to do is you're going to rule out that it's not strike.
Right.
Because then if it is still curving and you hit in the middle, then that might be where you've got to go and seek further advice.
Maybe we do go change your swing. Then, like we said, this is before you have to change your swing. If you're still messing it up, go change your swing.
Okay, so I'm going to give this one a go. So I've got it, it looks very narrow as I'm looking down.
Good luck with this one.
But I'm just going to trust and work on that feeling of, right, okay, I'm going to bring it through that centre.
Oh yeah, that plays. So if you're doing that tick, what happens if I've hit this one on the right or this one on the left?
So if you're hitting this outer one, we're probably going to find the heel of the golf club.
Yeah.
Because our club has moved a little bit further away.
And then we're going to get the slice there.
Yeah, I've moved on the inside one, we're going to hit him out the toe, we'll probably get more of that hook shot. I think the thing to remember here is we only want to change our swing, and we're saying don't do that first, but people rush to change their swing because they're worried about ball flight.
Exactly. So this is a really, really good one. So 2 for 1 here. Change that practice routine. Think about that strike, because that could be what's causing you issues more than your actual golf swing. Right, Alex, before people start thinking about changing their entire swing, should we take a look at the grip? What pieces of advice would you give for someone who's not striking it great, or they're pulling it, or they're slicing it, and how they can just alter a little bit of their grip to help with that?
First things first, I'd make sure that your club is in the fingers. So
oh, interesting, yeah.
Grip. Just purely, sometimes we have it in the palm, which if we have a little look at that closer there, Dan, you can see there's quite a big gap in between my little finger and where the club is.
Yeah.
Essentially, it makes it very, very hard to square the face, very, very hard to swing the club with any momentum. And essentially, overall, leaf motion with that is that the club face is probably going to be open. Is that
going to lead to a bit of inconsistency of strike as well if it's not in those fingers?
Definitely, okay. And with driver, it's just going to be
absolutely.
So the first thing, just to combat that, I would look at, and it's a really sort of little Ben Hogan tip here, that with all the fingers on and just take them off and leave this here, the club should stay. Interesting. If it falls, you know it's more in the palm because our meaty, our padded area isn't there to sort of create a little bit of an anchor point.
That's a great little just check for yourself actually, isn't it? Okay, good.
But then you also mentioned slice and you also mentioned hook.
Yeah.
So really nice and simple with that. As long as we've got that club in the fingers, if you hook the golf ball, nice and simple, just from player cam here, rotate your hands more towards the left half of the golf club. If you slice the golf ball, just rotate both non-glove and glove hand to the right side of the golf ball. It's that easy. And just have a go at that, because how you hold the club has a very, very big impact on how you control the face. And I think it's probably the last thing people go to because it feels very strange and it feels very odd, because it's like, I'm not used to that.
Yeah.
But it's going to have a direct impact on how you control the face, and that's essentially what the ball flight's going to do.
And it is, although it feels more extreme, it is a bit easier than having a full swing change, right? It's a few little notches here and there, and it'll feel weird for the first 15, 20 shots. Get yourself on the range, just adjust that grip slightly, as Alex has told us there, depending on where you're hitting the ball, and don't change your whole swing. Do you want to hit one for us now? Because
I will hit
on the 17th here, and I would like to see you go for one.
Okay, right, so I've got a little bit of the case of the pools today, so I'm going to go a little bit weaker.
Perfect.
And see if that helps me just keep that face a little bit open.
Oh my, ball striker. Catch a piece. This is a par 5, by the way, just going to mention that.
So I'd be happy there, just off the back right, I think.
You make it up and down from there with that pin. So yeah, just before you go and change your whole golf swing, as Alex said, tinker with that grip and see how you get on. So another thing to think about before entirely changing your swing, Alex, is just tightening up that short game, and your scores can come down considerably, making a few more up and downs, right?
100%. I think the most common sort of issue for golfers is they spend so much time on driver and want to bomb it, but they only use it maybe 11, 12 times in a round. But this could be used on every single green.
Yeah.
Now, this tip is nothing to do with technique. It's about choosing the right loft and the right landing zone. So I've got 2 tee pegs down and down. Like, I've got one at 50% of the way.
Yeah.
So this would be like our 50% in the air, 50% roll out.
Sure.
I've got another one here, which would be our sort of 25% in the air,
Yeah.
75% roll out. Now, right now, many golfers don't know what shot is good for them. So I want you to pick 2 clubs. I've got my pitching wedge here, which is my more roll one. Then I've got my 58, which is my more 50% in the air, 50% roll out. And just get into tune with what loft and what roll requires for that shot.
And what you might prefer as a golfer anyway. You might get on more with your 58, you might actually prefer a little bit less loft.
100%, because I guarantee you'll prefer a different wedge to me.
Yeah.
And golf's very personal, so practice that and find out what's good for yourself. So
Okay.
I'm going to play both here. First one, my more raw one, so I'm going to focus on the tee peg, not the hole.
Okay.
And let the club do the work for me. A little bit downhill. Might have a chance.
Hello. That was the first take, can I just say as well.
And then this one here was more in the air shot. Now, I'm a golfer that I know this, I've done this drill many times. I prefer less.
I'm the same. I want that shot. I want the ball rolling a bit more, so I have a bit more control of it. So,
Exactly.
And proof's in the pudding, I guess.
So these shots get me a little bit more nervous.
Oh, you haven't.
Thought I had.
Both pretty handy. Well, one in and one up and down. So just tightening up that short game, visualising the shot a little bit more before you go and change the swing entirely, bring those scores down with better wedge play. Okay, Alex, finally then, we're going to chat clubs, and maybe before that swing has to change, you have a little MOT of your bag and what's in there. We can chat a few things here. We can chat maybe gapping, loft and lie, put some new grips on it. Should we do loft and lie first? Because I think some people maybe don't understand how that affects their game.
Definitely. So loft and lie will affect your clubs even more so in the most lofted clubs.
Okay.
So the more loft you have, basically, it's called face plane tilt. And if I sort of grab a 50-degree here, let's say you had a very upright lie angle, that would be the toe off the ground,
Yeah.
okay? This would point our loft very left. And as I say, more loft, more effect this has. So if you have very upright clubs, it can cause your ball to start massively left.
Okay.
If you have very flat golf clubs, which would be the sort of heel off the ground, the ball can start significantly off to the right. Now, sometimes when you do get fitted, if you slice it, that could be a pretty good thing. Or
Yeah.
you push it, because it can help you iron out some bad shots. But a general MOT, if you're seeing bad characteristics of shots that are left, maybe too upright, maybe too far.
And it's something you can get adjusted. You might have already been fit and that was fine. Maybe your swing's changed, or maybe you haven't been fit before. Definitely worth checking out. Should we talk? You've got a great example of it here actually in your set of clubs. Is you've given yourself a little bit more help where you need it in the longer irons. You think maybe a split set for the perhaps more experienced golfer or even a beginner is a bit more helpful?
What I'd suggest is, let's just go beginner first. I wouldn't even want them to carry a 4 or 5 iron, 4 or 5 hybrid.
Yeah, that's a great shout.
Make it easier. That's what I'd suggest. And then for your intermediate / more experience, you've got to think people don't want to be buying clubs all the time. So if you're an intermediate golfer with aspirations of practicing a lot, playing a lot, I would definitely say that sort of combo set, whether you go blades a little bit bigger to a little bit bigger,
Yeah.
or just go muscle back to sort of a more forgiving iron, the long one.
I think so. I mean, listen, if Alex Elliott's still using these at the top of the bag, get that 4-iron blade out of your bag now, okay? Let's talk gapping finally then, especially the top of the bag. I think with golfers especially that maybe want that 5 and 4 hybrid, getting this area of the bag right can help your scores out a little bit more and maybe help your swing out if you're swinging easier into different hybrids or fairway woods.
Definitely. Like, I mean, I would always say first on that gapping I don't want people to really use a 3-wood.
Oh really?
I use 5-wood, and that's what I'd recommend for most golfers, and actually they hit it a little further.
Because that 3-wood's a bit close to the driver, do you reckon? Like, where's it actually being
Not
used?
necessarily that, like most of these golfers are going to use their 3-wood or 5-wood off the deck.
Yeah.
3-wood's a very hard club to get in the air. So essentially having a little bit more loft, a little bit of a deeper face is going to help you get it up. So I would always suggest going driver, 5-wood, and then maybe a 3 hybrid in there, then 4 and 5.
Brilliant. Oh, that's a great shot on the 5-wood actually, I thought, because it's only a couple of degrees, isn't it? And it will be a bit easier. And then get those wedges right as well. The bounce, the gapping in there.
Yeah, I mean, how I'd base that on, in most people's, I mean, it's very changeable, depending what brand, depends what your pitching wedge from your set will be.
Yeah.
But how I'd base this, have a look at your specs online, or even ask your pro, what loft is my pitching wedge, and then base it on 4-degree increments from that. It might be that it's 52, it might be that it's 50, but base it on the pitching wedge in your set.
Yeah, brilliant, brilliant advice there. It might seem basic stuff, and if you're watching your swings a mess, you're like, why are we talking about this? But before you go through that drastic change, make sure everything you're using is correct first, and then go from there. Okay, Alex, so we've spoken about tightening up that short game, chipping before changing your swing entirely. Should we chat about the putter? Now, I thought you were going to maybe suggest change your actual physical grip, which you could do, but you're talking about changing the material of it, go for a different type of grip.
Yeah, I mean, there are so many out there. I mean, you could go thick and rounded, thick with a flat front. I think it's a good way of making putter feel new. Rather than investing £300 in a brand new head and brand new full putter, just go to your local PJ Pro, let them recommend something and go, well, you know what, I need a change, I need to look down something different, I need to feel something different. And that could just be the difference that makes your these must-make putts. Yeah,
I think that goes for the whole bag as well. Maybe re-grip the irons, re-grip the driver, something different to look down on, a different feel, maybe a swing will tighten up because of it. Right, so there you have it, some brilliant bits of advice that I think all golfers should be following before they go through that massive swing change that I think we all really want to avoid. Big thanks to Alex Elliott for joining us in that video. Some brilliant tips he's given you there to head out into the range or head out into the course to better your game. If there's something we've maybe missed or something you've tried that's worked before you've totally rebuilt your swing, let me know down in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. But for now, from Kettleston Park Golf Club, I'll see you next time.